Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Planeswalkers Pub. I'm your host, Aaron.
I'm Eric.
Howdy, it's RJ. Today we are going to be talking about the spoiled cards from Theros Beyond Death. But before that, let's talk about our signature card.
Yes, every episode of the Planeswalkers Pub will feature a signature card that may or may not relate to the episode's topic.
Today's signature card is Decimator Web. Decimator Web costs 4 colorless mana. It is an artifact, pay 4, tap it, target opponent loses 2 life, gets a poison counter, then puts the top 6 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard.
So this card is crazy. Shout outs to TJ, one of my friends in Delaware, who just had this sitting there. And I'm like, oh, what is this? He's like, oh, no, it's cool. It's fine. I'm like, okay, cool. This card's dope.
Did you lose to it, Aaron?
I may or may not have lost to it. I can neither confirm nor deny this. But the point is, this card's dope.
How did you lose to this, Aaron?
That's not the point. The point is, paying someone for 2 life doesn't really seem like much. Given the poison counter actually does, seems really, really good. And the milling 6, that's so much. It's like, okay, cool, 2 life, all right, whatever. Poison counter, you're not playing Infects, who cares? Mill 6. Like, you would think it would be like mill 2, mill 3, like, don't even mill, just like take additional damage or something. I don't know. But like, this thing's just 4 mana, tap it at the end of your turn. Hey, RJ, mill 6. Oh, you just tutored? Cool, mill 6. Like,
Yeah, it's definitely got that kind of usage like Millstone does. I've actually been in games where someone's tutored and they either forgot or didn't realize the Millstone was on the field, so there was just like, mill. So this can definitely be that kind of situation. But 4 mana, that's like 1,000,000 mana to hold up for this activation.
well, think about it this way, because you actually had a mill deck for a bit. Like, there was a lot of...
Still do.
I didn't realize that. There's a lot of, like, 4 mana just mill cards, and they do less than 6.
Oh, usually they hit everyone, and they usually have a secondary effect.
Yeah, that's true. But poison counters. Poison is always good.
You have to do this 10 times in order to kill someone, so that's 40 mana over 10 turns.
Sure, if you want to math it like that. I mean, I was thinking more as like Tainted Strike or something.
Times 3, because you need to, do it against 3 people, usually. And this becomes a very losing prospect. And yes, if you Tainted Strike for 9, and then do this.
Final blow.
You can do the final blow.
But there is Unwinding Clock. You could technically do this once a turn.
I think the best part of this is the 6-card mill, though.
Yeah, that's why I emphasize it so heavily. Like, the poison counter is just a kind of a bonus. Losing 2 life is meaningless in Commander.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 6-card mill, that's something to be serious about. So switching over to our main topic, so today we're going to be talking about the cards that are spoiled in the newest set, Theros Beyond Death. Now, not all of the cards have been spoiled at the time of recording, but we wanted to give our hot takes on all the ones that we actually know about currently. So let's talk about the newer, or rather returning gods, I guess?
Yeah, I guess they definitely are returning.
Why the hell are they making indestructible enchantment creatures still? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, everyone hated them last time, but I think we've come around to actually loving them.
Oh, they're great, but they're just really good.
I mean, you say that we come around to loving them, and then they print something like Heliod Sun Crowned. So it is 2 and a white for a legendary enchantment creature who's a god. They're all going to be that, so I'm just going to keep ignoring that every time. They're also indestructible, and Heliod is not a creature if your devotion is less than 5. All of the
Mono gods are 5?
Yes, have the 5 for whatever their curl is equal to devotion. However, he is slightly different because he is a 5/5, and whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. And then you can pay 1 and a white, another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. So
he activates his own ability by giving lifelink to something, gaining life, and then putting a +1/+1 counter on something.
But here's the fun thing. So Walking Ballista is a XX artifact, has 0/0 for power and toughness, but that doesn't matter. So it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters onto it. Then you can remove a +1/+1 counter and have Walking Ballista itself shoot any target that you would like. So the combo here, this 2-card combo, by the way, is you have Walking Ballista on the field. Let's say he has 1 counter on him. That's fine. Actually, you would need 2 counters on him in order to make this work fully. 2 counters on him. You then activate Atheros, paying 1 and a white. You give the Ballista life.
Activate who?
Heliod. I like Atheros better. You activate Heliod by giving the Walking Ballista lifelink. And then you remove a counter. Walking Ballista shoots your opponent in the face. Because Walking Ballista did the damage, Heliod triggers, giving the Walking Ballista a +1/+1 counter. You now have an infinite machine gun. By the way, you're also gaining life the entire time.
This isn't the first time Walking Ballista has been part of an infinite combo.
This is the first time it's been a 2-card super easy combo.
It's literally like, that's the thing, is with a lot of combos with Walking Ballista, it's card and a card. This is a card and your commander.
Yeah.
This is literally, if you draw Walking Ballista, you win.
Yes.
Because this guy's in your command zone, and he goes infinite with 1 card.
Not even that, but it's like you're talking like the earliest you can possibly kill people is actually turn 3.
Yes, but you have to keep in mind that your deck has to be mono white, who is notoriously poor card draw and mana ramp.
You don't need card draw, you just need tutors. You just need a single tutor.
There really aren't that many tutors in white other than Enlightened Tutor.
That's all you need. It goes with the artifact, which kills everyone.
I mean, I'm not saying this combo won't kill people, but it's
gonna
nearly
kill a
not
lot of
as
people.
scary as you think it will be. And I think Heliod is definitely a step in the direction for white cards because it capitalizes on the life gain that white is always shackled with. And more often than not, the life gain doesn't mean anything. It'll be like, you do something stupid. Oh, you also gain 5 life. And it's like, great. Now I'll take 1 less turn to die.
I do like the fact that it says put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. Here's the thing. It will not animate whatever you put the +1/+1 counter on.
No, I know, but you put the +1 counters on the enchantments, and
then
then
you
you animate them.
Yeah. I like the fact that you can actually put it onto Atheros himself. It's kind of
You mean
hard.
Heliod. Atheros is the Orzhov god.
I like Atheros better. You can put it onto Heliod himself because the downside of running gods in general is that turning them on, meaning getting the devotion up there or anything like that, can kind of be hard. And one board wipe, don't. And one board wipe typically will ruin your whole day. But if you're putting all the counters onto Heliod, he's indestructible. And when he does eventually become a creature again, he'll just swing in for like 30. Something stupid.
So, do you think a variation of life gain Voltron with Heliod at the helm could see play?
Being as I actually own a god deck, absolutely not. The gods are extremely hard to turn online, and then once they're online, it's even harder to keep them online. Let's talk about the opposite color of things. Perforos. Bronze blooded. Not sure why they... Okay. It's 4 and a red for...
He's a Forge Master. He's bronze-blooded.
That makes slightly more sense now. Okay. 4 and a red for a 7/6. Indestructible. Isn't a creature unless you control 5, or unless your devotion is 5. Other creatures you control have haste.
So, he has the power of his hammer.
Yes, ironically, he's also holding his hammer, so that works out. There's other text. I'm sorry. 2 and a red. You may put a red creature card or an artifact creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Sack it at the next end step.
So, he sneak attacks cards.
But with the thing about sneak attack is that it only hits creatures. With this, he also hits artifacts.
Artifacts or artifact creatures?
Yeah, artifact creatures. So I guess what? That's pointless then. Why don't you just say?
Can I read it real quick? Let me see.
Well, it's red creature specifically or artifact creature. So I guess they didn't want it to be like creatures because at that point you can put in anything. Because at that point it's just blatantly sneak attack.
Yeah. Well, Duretti likes him.
The
The scrap guy, the Planeswalker that
it is
can
an end
be
of turn. So yeah, I guess you can just like put out something useless or whatever, then switch it with Duretti for something better in your graveyard.
Yeah. Well,
Marchesa.
Duretti's all about sacrificing artifacts, bringing them back from the graveyard, and things like that. like
ahead.
scrap mastery and things like that.
Mhm.
So I think this can definitely help with that strategy.
Queen Marchesa would like this.
Because
Yeah, it's only red and artifact, but maybe I'm wrong about the Witch Marchesa, but there's the one where +1/+1 counter, if a creature dies with a counter, it comes back.
Oh yeah, if yeah,
The one with dethrone?
yes,
Yep, the dethrone one. Because you just put out something, a red or an artifact creature. I know it's not as good as Sneak Attack, because Sneak Attack's a staple in that deck, but you play out that artifact creature or that red creature, and then it you sacrifice it at the end of turn, it comes back.
I still think this is better because for one main reasoning, indestructible. Sneak attack is kind of a known thing. All right, here's the thing: sneak attack isn't indestructible.
Yeah, true.
Like that's the thing. Like they're
It
like,
is
all
an
right,
enchantment, though.
so is he. So I'm saying you're going to get rid of him the same way you're going to get rid of sneak attack. But the thing is that he doesn't. You have to actually exile. You can't just destroy him. Plus, once you eventually do turn him, like become the devotion, or whatever, he's a 7/6, just chilling. The next god.
No, well, I know a god that Perfos pairs with, Ilharg. Ilharg, when he makes attacks, he brings a guy in, tapped and attacking, and then it returns your hand. If you're doing a red sneak attack kind of deck, Ilharg, the new Perfos, and sneak attack itself could all be relevant in it.
As well as the old Perforos, and back tremors.
All that good stuff.
What's the other one?
Warstorm Surge.
There you go.
Our next god is Erebos Bleakhearted. 3 and a black. Whenever he has the normal god stuff, indestructible, devotion to
TT.
black is less than 5. And he's a 5/6. Whenever another creature you control dies, you may pay 2 life, and if you do, draw a card. 1 and black, sacrifice another creature. Target creature gets -2/-1 to end of the turn.
He triggers his own ability.
Yes, which is very, very cool. Black is known for killing shit.
Yeah.
So having incidental shit just dying and you're drawing cards is always good.
Yep.
I prefer the old Erebos.
Oh, I definitely prefer it. For most of these gods, I prefer their older versions because they're typically stronger.
But a couple problems I have with this Erebos. The fact that you have to pay a colorless and a black to sack that creature. I would have loved for it to be 2 black or just 1 black, because then you can cheat it with our good boy Crick.
Yeah. Oh,
That's-
well.
You have to
Remember,
have a creature
Crick's in
die.
standard.
I know. Wait, what?
No, he was in.
Crick is a commander.
Crick is a commander precon card.
Was he?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, my dude.
You're thinking of Villas,
I am
who he's
thinking of
paired
Villas.
with.
Yes.
Yes.
I was going to say, I don't like you having to pay the extra life. I guess that technically works with old Erebos' whip, which gives all your creatures lifelink.
Yeah.
But, like, you having to pay that extra life just to draw 1 card, and you have to have stuff dying.
Well, no, that's the thing. Yes, you're paying the life or whatever, but they can't just give it to you for free. Let's get real. Like, just free card draw is never good because that Erebos would be $1 million.
Well, here's the thing.
Paying
Midnight
life
Reaper,
to-
$3. It says whenever a creature you control dies, you take 1 damage and you draw a card.
Yeah.
It's better than this Erebos.
It's not. That is a mandatory trigger. You're taking that damage. He says, hey, if you're at 2 life, you don't have to pay if you don't want to.
I get
That other card has
but
killed people. I know, I've seen it. It's hilarious.
I understand that card can kill people, but like I feel like the cost is a bit too much. Like paying 1 life, I would have been a bit more okay with. But yeah, I don't know. I'm for some reason this Erebos puts a bad taste in my mouth.
I like the 2 because, once again, it is going into standard, which they only have 20 life, so they can only do this, but like maybe 5 or 6 times before they just straight die. In Commander specifically, which we're referencing all these cards with, 2 life doesn't seem like much, but doing it 5, 6, 9 times, you'll eventually start feeling it, unless you have the whip of Erebos basically out to kind of supplement it.
This leans into Black's strengths, paying life to draw cards, and pulling at my big brain MTG hidden tech. There are hidden costs for card draw. For mana-wise, it's usually 1.5 mana per card drawn. So usually you'll pay 3 mana to draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
Which is usually the blue standard. For black, it's usually 2 life per 1 card drawn.
Yeah.
And cards that defy this are usually way better and are arguably broken.
It is a creature you control, which guys kind of suck, but it's like, cool, a board wipe, you're not just shut out of the game. You can just say, all right, I'm going to pay 10 life, draw these 5 cards, maybe I can get something else.
I had a sort of revelation right now. I actually do like the Theros a bit more because escape is a thing. In my mind, just getting rid of your creatures is bad because I like stuff on the board. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of the black thing, is to get rid of your creatures. I think in an escape deck, this actually might be really good. The sacking creatures for a -2, -1 until end of turn didn't really sound great to me. But in the context of you might be able to get it back, or that's fodder for escape. Mm-hmm. I like
the fact that you can just straight usually kill a bunch of little things that your opponent has just for sacking your own dudes, which is always nice. Something like Teysa could actually utilize the crap out of this because it's another sack outlet that she might need to just put -2, -1 counters on something. I mean, it is until end of turn, which does kind of suck, but you're killing anything with 1 toughness, and you just have to do this twice in order to kill anything with 2 toughness. You're typically going to have a bunch of crap anyway.
And this pairs well with his Dictate and Grave Pact effects.
Exactly.
Any death effects you might need. I mean, I would totally sack a Solemn Simulacrum to this.
Yeah. Moving on. Let's go with Nylea, Keen-Eyed. She's 3 in a green. She has a standard God tax, indestructible, doesn't a creature unless your devotion is 5. She herself is a 5/6. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast.
Okay.
And pay 2 in a green. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, put it into your graveyard. I'm sorry. Otherwise, you may put it into your graveyard. May is very, very important.
Wait, the top 1 card?
Yes. Reveal the top card.
I gotta make sure that's a May.
It is a May.
It is a May.
So you're paying 4 mana. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature, toss it to your hand. If not, you may put it into your graveyard.
4 mana is a lot.
Well, it's 3 mana. But yeah, it's still kind of a lot.
No, that's pretty good. For green, I know it doesn't seem that great. You're paying 3 mana to draw 1 card.
It's 3 mana, Surveil 1.
I get that, but like that's not horrible because that helps you fill your graveyard. That's getting creatures into your hand. From a guy who plays creature heavy decks, I have a hard time drawing cards a lot, and effects like that just let me like get certain things are pretty good.
Well, this isn't too different than what green's known for. I mean, Orc of Mordaya looks for lands on top of your deck, and one of the Garruk cards looks for creatures. Pack Leader, I think it is, or something like that.
Eric's Pack Leader just draws cards if you play big boys.
I know there's a creature version of Orc of Mordaya, by which I mean you play with the top card revealed. You may play it if it's a creature.
Yeah, I think that's from Amonkhet.
It's on screen right now.
It's like a snaky dude, and he says basically Oracle of Mordaya, but creatures.
Yeah. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less. That's always nice to get discount on your big boys.
I think that's the most useful static ability, but arguably one of the least useful active abilities.
Yeah, I dig what you're saying, RJ, about the whole I can't draw in creature decks, but real talk, Surveil 1 for 3 mana, that's just bad stats. That's standard stats.
Yeah, I was just thinking more like it's kind of rare that you see an effect that lets you do this in green, where if you make infinite mana, you can go through your entire deck, because that's what this does, is you make infinite mana, you can pull off Lab Man in green, or pseudo Lab Man in green.
I guess, but the thing is also like, you're not... If it put it onto the battlefield, like...
That would be kind of broken.
Well, here's the thing. Make it 4 mana, but it puts it onto the battlefield.
Still broken.
Well, let's bring up...
I don't mind putting it into your hand. I don't mind leaving it there. I think this would be a hell of a lot worse if you put it at the bottom of your library, which a lot of cards like this usually do. And I like how it can fuel your escape deck, which is clearly what this is meant for.
Well, here's my thing. Let's bring up Zoologist again. So Zoologist was actually one of our signature
cards.
3 in a green for a Druid. It's a 1/2. No one cares. Pay 3 in a green, so 4 mana, like I talked about. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it into play. Otherwise, put it into your graveyard. So once again, this is basically as close to Zoologist as they're willing to get in Standard. Why is Zoologist
Better.
better than this. That's my point of like, zoologists already exists. This already exists.
Zoologist, it has to be in your hand.
No.
And the other one is... Let me see Zoologist.
Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature, put it into play.
It taps.
Wait, Nalia forces you to put it in your hand if it's a creature, doesn't it?
Yeah, she puts into your hand.
No, I mean if the top card revealed is a creature.
It puts into your hand.
So you can't send the creature to the graveyard if you want to.
No. Same principle as zoologist. If it just happens.
No, zoologist, you can put the creature in the graveyard if you want, can't you?
No. When it reveal the top card of your library, if it's a creature, put it into play. There is no other text of it. So
Okay.
if someone's like, okay, I'm going to Wrath of God. Cool. In response to do this, zoologist, look at the top cards, progenitus. Okay, cool. Congratulations. You just killed your progenitus.
A few reasons about the Nylea versus Zoologist is Zoologist, you have to tap it, so it has to have haste to do it turn 1. Nylea, you can drop her and activate that ability on the same turn if you wanted to.
Then make it so this way.
Nylea is indestructible and is a bigger creature.
On the whole, I could see me sticking Nylea into, well, anyone sticking her into any heavily creature-based deck, but I'm not excited by her activated ability.
Moving on to our last monocolored god, let's talk about Thassa, Deep Dwelling. She is a 3 and a blue, has a standard god text, so indestructible. She's a 6/5, and it's not a creature unless your devotion is 5. She also has... Sorry, I just remembered this. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to one other target creature you control, then return to the battlefield under your control. Then she also has an additional thing, which is 3 and a blue, tap another target creature. But that's not important. What's important is the fact that there's a Conjurer's Closet on an indestructible.
For one less mana.
For 1 less mana, and it's indestructible.
Yeah, but you do have to be in blue to use it.
I mean, the best stuff to flicker is in blue. Shoutouts to Meldrither. Shoutouts to basically anything that ETBs and does some crazy shit. Like, and you can also be like blue and...
Brago's a better flickerer than her. Waiting to the end step is horrible. Especially since if they see her out, they'll be like, oh, I'm just going to kill whatever you're going to flicker.
Brago has to attack. Brago has to hit.
Yeah, Brago has to have a whole turn to start doing his stuff.
Oh, yeah,
And once again,
true.
he has to hit you. Maze of Ith is a thing that runs inside of every single of my decks for this exact reasoning.
And he only owns 1 copy.
That's fair.
Anyway, plus there's also Propaganda, Ghostly Prison. There's a bunch of other crap. With her, it's just, I'm on the field. I don't even have to be active. Flicker. Like, it's great. I really like her to death. It's great.
She's heads and shoulders above her previous version, which I don't think I've seen anyone ever play.
I played
Really?
it.
Her old version's good, though.
Give me something unblockable. Also, too, the Scry,
Yeah.
realistically, I run that card in the God deck, A, because it's a God, and B, the Scry is amazing. Just Scry 1 at the beginning of your upkeep, you have no idea how amazing that feels. Like,
There's
it's
a
great.
reason why she's as
Okay.
expensive as she is.
Because it's Scry 1 every turn. It's just dumb. It's
Okay.
so good.
You've convinced me.
Plus, the activated ability of just making something unblockable, that's a thing.
If you team the new one up with the one signature card we had, Cryptid Annelid, the one that scries 1, 2, and 3, technically you could do the same thing that she does, except on your end step.
Yeah,
You
so
just
then
That's
flicker it
fun.
so
and
you're,
Funny.
yeah, so you're
scry.
scrying 1 on your upkeep, and then at the end step, you're scrying 1, scrying 2, scrying 3. You're just
I think you
digging.
have both of them.
It's not that hard to get both of them. Plus, neither one of them would actually be turned on, which means that then they have to get enchantment removal. So, yeah.
And then you... Okay. But would this lead its own deck, or would you put in the 99 with a bunch of juicier flicker targets than blue can provide?
Definitely in the 99 if it was up to me.
I'm trying to see if blue can actually kill someone with flicker, and I don't think they actually can by themselves.
I'm sure there's a blue ETB mill.
Yeah, that's probably the only way I can think of, just to milling someone. But the thing is, I feel like it's going to be way too slow. But maybe you'll probably go like, you'll go the full flicker route of just a bunch of bounce spells in general. And actually, what am I doing? I ran this fucking deck in standard. Yeah, just a bunch of bounce spells and like flicker form, and then just a bunch of just like random ETBs that bounce other creatures, Muldrifter, milling, shenanigans. Yeah, basically, it's kind of just like a mono blue control mill flicker deck. It's gonna be gross. It's gross. Yeah. It's a gross deck, but you know, you gotta win. You gotta win. Right. We do know about the new kid on the block, Klothys, God of Destiny. We're saying Klothys. It's probably wrong. It's fine. Don't worry about it. 1 red and a green for indestructible. He is a god 4/5, and it also is not a creature unless your devotion is 7. So you can have some green permanents, some red permanents, equal up to 7, and then boom, he's a creature.
All the dual colors are 7, and all the single colors are 5.
Yes. Which is very, very nice. And this one says, at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, so main phase 1, exile target Exile target card from a graveyard, any graveyard. If it's a land card, add red or green. Otherwise, you gain 2 life, and he deals 2 damage to each opponent. So, it's graveyard hate and non-black? It's basically like
Deathrite Shaman.
Deathrite Shaman.
But in Gruul.
Yeah, in Gruul, but
and he exiles lands?
Yeah, he can exile any card. So any card in any graveyard.
Or a green?
Yeah, you can get a red or green, cannot get both. It's a single card, and if it's a land, you can get red or green. Otherwise, you gain 2 life and he shoots your opponents. Note that says each opponent.
Each opponent, not just the one you exiled from.
Yes.
And you can exile from yourself.
Yes.
Interesting. It's for punishing escape. It's for stopping escape, actually.
Here's the thing. Is it, though? Because this is like...
Standard. It's built for standard.
I know it's 1,000 built for standard, but like in Commander sense, this is your main phase 1 on your turn. You're only getting 1 card.
Yeah.
And, I mean, granted, like, whoever's running Escape, they're going to be telegraphing the hell out of it, but, like, you're only grabbing 1 card. So I guess you're just targeting specifically the Escape cards?
Yep.
I don't know.
How salty would you be if you're running the new Pac-Ramos, which has Escape 6? You just got him out of there. It's like, oh, you're not escaping with those 12 +1/+1 counters this time, buddy.
Well, here's the thing. This is going to be on the field. They'll see it.
Well, isn't that good then? If you stop them from putting cards in the graveyard, they have to watch how they play. And with him being indestructible, they could be shut out.
But here's the thing. It only gets 1 card. Like, Silent Gravestone...
You have to make sure the 1 card counts then.
Well, yeah, but Silent Gravestone and Grafdigger's Cage and a bunch of other ones, whatever, they'll get, like, your entire graveyard. They'll get, like...
Yeah, I agree that there are better cards for it, but I think this, with the ability to pick and choose, you might be able to snipe the juicy targets out.
It's just the fact that, I don't know, sniping one thing, I'm not really a humongous fan of. But then again...
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. And free mana is free mana. Free damage is free damage. So the damage up front is actually probably better because 2 to everyone is always good. You're getting 2 life, which kind of sucks, but it's not in black, so it's not like a drain effect. It's just kind of a static, hey, this does this thing. Which is kind of great. Switching over to our next segment, we're going to briefly talk about the mechanics. So there are 2 returning mechanics and then a new mechanic, which we've been hinting at literally this entire time. One of the main mechanics is the escape mechanic. So escape is new for...
Theros?
I was supposed to say return to Ravnica. Escape is new.
Escape is new to Theros Beyond Death in that it says escape a number, then the mana cost. For the number, you exile that many cards, you pay the mana cost, and you return the card to the battlefield.
Yes. Let's take one of my cooler examples. Underworld Rage Hound. It's a 1 red for Elemental Hounds. It's 3/1. He's a good boy. He attacks each combat if available because he only knows war. And then the escape is 3 red. Exile 3 other cards from your graveyards. You can't exile himself. And then Underworld Hound escapes with a +1/+1 counter on it. So basically, when you use the escape cost, it gets a +1/+1 counter. It's kind of like old school Flashback. Where it's something in the graveyard, you do this other cool thing, you bring it back out. It's similar to Jumpstart for all of you newer players out there, where you just toss something from your hand or whatever, you bring it back out. I don't know how much I like this mechanic. Partially because I'm not really a fan of Dredge or Flashback. I like Jumpstart because it was cool.
I really like this mechanic. I don't know why, but like the idea of escaping from the underworld with it's flavorful. Yeah, you have to exile cards from your graveyard, but if you're running a dredge strategy or a self-mill strategy, you're going to be doing that anyway. So the idea of being able to continuously recur something from your graveyard for some mana and some cards, and you also a lot of the times get more effects. Like with most of the creatures, they come back with extra +1/+1 counters when you escape with them. I really like it.
I'm kind of lukewarm to it. I mean, we've seen this ability before in Flashback, Retrace, Jumpstart.
Here's the thing, we've seen...
It's kind of uninspired at this point, reusing cards from your graveyard.
It's like...
And most of the things that come out are just big, dumb, beefy monsters. And don't get me wrong, I like my big, dumb, beefy monsters, but there's only so many times you can see, oh, this comes with a +1/+1 counters. Yay.
Here's my thing. Wizards is slowly getting worse because Flashback was the first mechanic that actually involved the graveyard itself. And with Flashback, you pay a slightly higher mana cost, you recast what you just played or something's in the graveyard, and then it gets exiled itself as it resolves. Cool. Then they gave us Jumpstart, where, okay, you play this one thing. Let's take Radical Idea because it's the one I actually know. You take one thing, whatever, you draw some cards, it goes to the graveyard, you then pay some mana, discard a card, and then you draw some more cards. And then that now gets exiled. Cool. Now with Escape, it goes to the graveyard, you pay some mana, you exile the cards that are currently in your graveyard, it's to get this thing back. Like, my point is, like, there's an escalating thing here.
There's also Delve, which does this exact thing, except you reduce the mana cost the more you delve.
Exactly. Like, how much... What my fear is that the next thing that they're like, okay, cool, this is gonna be from the graveyard. It's gonna be like, okay, this is what you do, guys. Let's just call it the Big Bang. Don't worry about it. The name's in workshop. So follow me here. You play this thing. It dies. Goes to the graveyard. Cool. You pay, let's say, 5 mana. You then take 5 cards from your library, exile them, then 2 cards from your graveyard.
And exile
them that are the same color as the card that you're casting, then to put it back onto the field with 5 +1/+1 counters on it. Like, no, you. Like, that's too much. That's too much. How much are you...
Oh, and you also discard 2 cards.
Oh, you also discard 2 cards and lose 2 life. Like, no.
Here's the big thing, though, with Escape versus all those other ones. How many of those other effects were for creatures? How many other of those effects said, oh, you do this, you can do this from your graveyard, and it's a creature card, it's something that sticks around? Or, here's my example, it's one of my favorite cards coming out of here, Escape Velocity. It's a 1 mana enchantment, it costs 1 red, it's an aura, enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and has haste, and is escape for 2, 1 and a red. Exile 2 other cards from your graveyard.
I do get your points, that the fact it's on creatures actually makes it a lot more interesting, mainly because... you're thinking in your head, how many times do I have to fucking kill this stupid thing? Like, it really opens up, especially in Commander sense, to lay down the void and just exile effects more than anything else. Because going to the graveyard doesn't make it dead anymore, which is kind of crazy. Here's my question. Does Modrotha decks get seriously pumped up by Theros now? Because there's a bunch of crap that's going to your graveyard?
Modrotha decks don't want to exile their reanimation fodder because you literally play the cards out from your grave.
But that's my point. There's so, like, with a lot of these escape cards, they're lower CMC because they're like, okay, well, cast it first, then you escape it for a lot bigger cost. So I feel like with Modrotha, it can just get a bunch of, I don't know. It's escape's just a weird fucking mechanic. I don't like.
I think it's okay, but I'm not thrilled by just making another beefy creature.
I just don't like the fact that, you know, you're messing with my graveyard. I'm not really a fan of that in general. Even though I've got nothing to reanimate ever, I just don't like people touching my graveyard. it just, even when I get Paducah Bog, I'm just like, what if I wanted something from there? Like,
I mean,
never do.
know I don't play any cards that do, but I might. The returning mechanics are Devotion and Constellation. Devotion looks at the pips in the mana cost of permanents on the battlefield. So any artifacts, enchantments, creatures, planeswalkers, and it counts those up and gives you a benefit depending on what it is. So, for example, the gods say devotion to their color. For Heliod, for example, you need 5 devotion to white to turn him into a creature. He already has 1 white pip, so you only need 4 more.
Yeah. Devotion is really, really cool. It's easier if you're in a monocolored deck, slightly harder if you're not. But then again, you also have to count just... It's nice that they count themselves, which is always great. It also will count your commander if you're not running it as the commander, which is always nice. It does not count your lands. Please keep that in mind. Newer players might get confused with that because lands technically tap for a color, yada, yada, yada. Lands are technically colorless.
I started playing Magic in Return to Ravnica, so Theros came out directly after that. And yes, everybody I played with said that, oh, no, your lands count towards devotion, and it doesn't.
Lands do not count. Lands are colorless sources that produce a color that is written on the card. So there be that. But yeah, no, it's... Devotion's really cool. It's nice that when it gets active, it just does some crazy stuff. It's also nice kind of like just the threat there, and everyone's always just glancing over, just slowly counting in their head, does he have enough? Does he have enough? One thing I do want to mention, and this is just a general thing, if you're running a god, specifically if you have sleeves, which most of your decks should be sleeved anyway, the way that I actually do it is, and I'll actually put a sample up on screen right now, is if the god is unactive, so just an enchantment, I leave him in the sleeve perfectly. If he becomes active, I take him slowly out of the sleeve and kind of just hanging out from the top. This way it's a notification to yourself as well as your opponents, this god is active.
Or you could just
I
throw
like that
something on
idea.
him.
Or you can just put something on him. Like I like putting like dice or whatever, like on above. Well, that's the, not physically on it, just above. This way,
a die. You could just put like a coin.
Put
or
a
something
Cheeto.
else. Yeah, put a Cheeto. on
Don't put a Cheeto. Yeah, like or a coin. Some way of representing to your opponents, this is what's currently going on. The worst feeling in the world is your opponent swinging in, and you're like, "Oh, I blocked my god. I didn't know it was active." Well, too bad. Like, no, it's your responsibility since it's your god to tell them if it is active or not. Don't be lazy.
Well, it's not exactly laziness. It's just deceptive.
Yes.
You don't want to. It's called fair play. It's like you want good sportsmanship. You don't want to be that asshole who's like, "Oh, I don't have anything to block," and "Oh my god."
Yeah,
Don't block with a Dryad Arbor from your mana base.
Yeah, it's the Dryad Arbor discussion. So either take him completely out of the sleeve to represent, hey, this is active, or do like I do, just take it halfway out the sleeve, just way it tells them, hey, this is active. The last return mechanic is
Constellation. Whenever you play an enchantment, something happens.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Context is completely dependent on which card has Constellation.
Our example is Cetesian Champion, 2 and a green. It's a 1/3, but who cares about that? What it says, whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Cetesian Champion and draw a card.
Yeah. So this is kind of just a thing where
It's an enchantress.
yes.
Yes, it is. It's a very good one.
Yes.
And it also says when it enters the battlefield. So that means you don't necessarily have to cast it. You could flicker it. Shout outs to Thassa. You could always just cheat it out with like, Joyra or something in that sense. Whenever it just shows up, congratulations, you get +1 counter. The enchantresses, at least the 4 I feel like putting up on screen, are up on screen right now. And yeah, they're all really, really good. They're also really spiked in price since this set was spoiled. It's fine. Don't worry about it. All right. We're going to do rapid fire at this point to kind of speed through all this other fun stuff. I'm just going to mention a bunch of cards that I'm really, really excited about. I'm hopefully going to hit the ones you guys are excited about as well. Really, really quickly. All right. First up, Nyx Lotus. 4
Oh,
mana.
hell yes.
4 mana artifact. Enters tapped. You can tap it, add a color.
Choose
a color, add an amount of mana equal to your devotion to that color. So,
It's
comes in,
Nykthos Shrine to Nyx reprinted in artifact form.
which is so good because Nykthos Shrine Nyx is $1 million fucking dollars.
It's like $12.
It's
That's
like
$1 million for a goddamn land. I like
it's not.
Laughs and fetch lands.
Yeah, right. Arid Mesa.
Anyway, can choose a color every single time you activate this. So if we all know how Commander works, stuff changes literally in a single rotation. So you'd be like, okay, cool. Well, I have more green right now. Oh, someone board wiped, someone took out that one or two things. Now I have more red. Like, I like that. That's always very nice. It's basically a souped up Gilded Lotus, which is always freaking great.
I've got one of the demigods, Tiamat, Chosen from Death, the Black Demigod. It's a legendary enchantment creature for 2 and a star. His toughness is equal to your devotion to black, so he starts out as a 2/2. 1 and a black, exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards. You gain 1 life for each creature card exiled this way. I'm definitely a fan of sniping on demand, because if someone plays that juicy reanimation, you can be like, I'm going to pay the 1 and black at instant speed and remove what you were going to target. Your spell now fizzles. This doesn't necessarily stop escape, because I think you have to exile the cards as a cost for the escape mechanic.
Yes, it does. It's part of the cost.
Yes.
Okay. So you can't see someone trying to set up the escape and try to mess them up. But
You could potentially, if you see someone milling, you can then exile their stuff before they can escape something.
Yeah. This definitely has some competitive EDH implications, because Scavenging Ooze is used heavily in a lot of anti-graveyard strategies. So having a black version of this can open up that strategy to other decks. I remember how I was talking about Nyla wasn't that good when compared to the other gods, but her intervention is insane. 2 green and X for sorcery. Choose 1. Search your library for up to X land cards. X land cards. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. And then the other one deals X damage to each creature with flying.
How much is it from the gate? It's 2 and
2 green and X. So you can search any
what's the sorcery?
land cards. Sorcery, yeah.
So here's the downside. Oh, well, no. Okay, let's go to the upside first. Upside is going into Gitrog. It's going into anything that cares about lands, and it can manipulate the crap out of them. It's going to Gitrog. It's going into Windgrace. It's going into those type of decks. The downside, it's a sorcery,
Yes.
and unless you have you can play more than 1 land a turn. This is just a bad
But it can
card.
get you Cabal and Urborg. It can get you Dark Depths and Thespian
Stage.
Stage.
It can get you literally whatever you need. It's decent.
RJ's card, no one's going to like it because it's not really great. Nessian Boar costs 3 and 2 green. It's a creature boar. It's a 10/6.
Yaha.
A what now?
It's a 10/6.
Yaha.
Uh-huh.
All creatures able to block Nessian Boar do so.
Uh-huh.
Whenever Nessian Boar becomes blocked by a creature, that creature's controller draws a card.
Oh.
So, fun fact, I actually do really like this card,
Yeah.
specifically because everything has to block it, which is great. Downside, you're giving your opponent a crap ton of stuff. Upside, it's a 10/6, you give it trample, you give it indestructible, you're not going to care as much because you're killing a bunch of shit.
The idea for this card, at least in my opinion, is Marisi. I'm going to put this in Marisi, and then I'm going to swing in, and whatever I have to swing with is going to get through because you're going to have to block with everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
And
the purpose behind this card, definitely.
And plus, the fact it's a 10/6 isn't nothing. They could have easily switched around and make it a 6/10, but they're like, no, we want this thing to actually die. The thing is that this is killing a lot of things as it goes down with it, which is nice. If you're able to give it Death Touch somehow, this is killing 10 things, or at least everything it's touching, which is great. Your opponent's getting some card draw, but hopefully you're just like, this is my finisher /
Hopefully you're not swinging into the Selesnya token deck with this that has like 30 tokens.
Right.
I mean, upside, it's a forced draw. They have to draw the cards. If they don't have if they don't have a Reliquary Tower or something else, they're kicking all those fucking cards.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of agree with what Tom said a while ago, where it's like, okay, cool, they draw 1,000,000 cards. What are they doing with it? They're going to discard it all. Like,
Says the guy who freaks out whenever I draw some cards.
that's
with
because you're
blue
drawing
color
it in
over
Feather. Now what?
Whatever.
All those
Aaron?
cards kill me.
Aaron only likes good things, Aaron only realizes when things are good when other people are doing them. If he's doing them, they're eh.
But you're right.
If
do
I
like
draw a million cards.
I like halfway comboed off with
if I draw 2 life.
Oh yeah,
you turn.
actually no. He doesn't care if other people are doing stuff, just if you are, Eric.
Yes.
That's not entirely true. All right.
He didn't say it's wrong.
That's not wrong, but it's not entirely true. Anyway, let's jump over to our favorite stuff, which is going to be Last Call!
Last call.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
All right, so final thoughts and a question to the people listening is, what do you think about the new cards that actually are coming out during this set? Note that by the time you're actually listening to this, that the pre-release for the actual set itself will be next Friday, which is going to be great. We're probably going to be going because it's for work, so it's a work thing. Don't worry about it. I'm also kind of dirtling a little bit because I want to mention our subscribers. You guys are awesome. We're at like 85, 86-ish right now. We're trying to get to 100. It's going to be great. We're also trying to get a camera. This way we can do some actual gameplay and whatnot, so we can see how completely garbage we are and how I nicely convince everyone at the table to kill Eric, regardless of if he's actually a threat or not. I also want to thank our...
I hate you, Aaron.
He's going to be like his best look. He's going to be like his best look. Anyway, I also want to thank our friends over at tcgplayer.com. In the description box below is our affiliate link that will take you over to them. You're going to be buying cards anyway, so want to help the channel at the same time. And outside of that, see you guys next episode.